Look at your browser window right now. If you want to elevate your front-end engineering from standard grid structures to elite, award-winning interfaces, you need to master advanced layout spatial transitions. Welcome back to ITMaster. I'm your tech teacher. In today's Advanced Frontend Masterclass, we are diving deep into a hot industry trend: Advanced SVG Masking and clip paths combined with GSAP ScrollTrigger. Instead of common reveals that use basic boxes or CSS overflow. Hidden, we're going to build a premium Apple-inspired cinematic reveal component. As the user scrolls down, a custom vector geometric shape will perfectly morph and open up, unlocking a smooth full-screen imagery layout without breaking responsiveness across different screen sizes. And here is the absolute best part. We're going to handle this entire path-morphing logic natively within GSAP without needing any premium paid plugins. It's 100% free, lightweight, and ultra-performant. In this video, I will walk you through the entire source code file from the absolute first line to the very last line of JavaScript. No skips, no hidden setups, and no missing blocks. If you are ready to engineer premium interfaces for your portfolio, smash that subscribe button, crack open your favorite code editor, and let's build this completely from scratch. Let's jump straight into our text editor. We're going to write this entire layout inside a single self-contained index.html file, so it's super easy for you to run locally. Let's begin by defining our standard HTML skeleton structure and pulling in our core animation engines from the CDN. Step 1. Setting up the document and CDN scripts. We start with our boilerplate HTML5 declaration. Inside our head, we add the standard meta viewport tags to guarantee mobile support. Right under our page title, we need to load two essential scripts. First, the core GreenSock library, sap.min.js, and second, the official ScrollTrigger.min.js plugin. These scripts give us the raw power to tie visual attributes directly to the browser's scroll progression bar. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to build a premium, smooth SVG masking reveal effect. It's that high-end animation style you see on modern, award-winning websites. Let's look at how we set up the foundation of our file. First, we start with our standard HTML5 boilerplate. Right here at the top, we declare the document type, set our language to English, and configure our standard meta tags. Pay close attention to this viewport meta tag on line 5. It's absolutely essential. It ensures that our premium effect will scale beautifully and stay completely responsive, whether our user is looking at a massive desktop monitor or a small smartphone screen. Next up, we give our page a title. I'm calling this Premium SVG Masking Reveal, which will show up right in the Browser tab, so our users know exactly where they are. Now, here is where the magic begins. To get those buttery smooth, high-end animations, we need some serious horsepower. Instead of writing hundreds of lines of complex, messy CSS, we're going to lean on the industry standard, GSAP, the GreenSock animation platform. On line 9, we hook up the core GSAP library, and right underneath it on line 10, we pull in ScrollTrigger. This brilliant little plugin is what's going to let us link our SVG masking animation directly to the user scroll bar. As they scroll down, the mask will reveal our hidden content dynamically. All right, our head section is locked and loaded. We've got our metadata right, and our animation engines are imported. Next up, let's jump into the body and actually build out the visual structure of our page. Follow me to the next step. Step 2, designing the CSS layout. Next, let's open our style block to write our layout rules. We will reset all margins and paddings to 0, so everything aligns perfectly flush to the edges. We will create a helper section called .spacer giving a height of 50 VH or 100 VH. This provides physical scrolling track room on our monitor so we can test our scroll trigger markers easily. The real structural magic lies in .hero container and .reveal content. We lock our container to exactly 100 VH and set its overflow to hidden. Inside .reveal content, we link the element to our upcoming inline vector data using clip path, URL, #revealClip. We also append will change, clip path, which alerts the browser's GPU to pre-optimize layout calculations, avoiding laggy motion spikes. Now let's jump right into the CSS styling. We want to make sure everything looks incredibly polished and that our layouts align perfectly without any unexpected browser gaps. We kick things off with a global reset using the universal selector. By stripping out all default margins and paddings and locking down the box sizing to border box, we ensure our element dimensions stay completely predictable. Right below that, we style the body with a deep, cinematic dark background and a clean sans serif font. Notice that overflow X, hidden? That's a crucial little safety net to prevent any awkward horizontal scrolling if our upcoming animations expand past the screen edge. Next, we create a spacer class. Give it a height of 50 VH, simply pushes our main content down the page. This guarantees the user has plenty of room to scroll, allowing them to naturally watch the premium animation trigger as it enters the viewport. Now let's look at the core layout structure, the hero container and the reveal content. The hero container acts as our stage. It takes up the full width and height of the screen and uses overflow, hidden to keep everything perfectly self-contained. Inside it sits our reveal content. This is where the magic happens. We use the CSS clip path property to link this HTML layer directly to an SVG clip path called #revealClip, which we will build in the next step. We also throw in will change, clip path to signal the browser's graphics processor to optimize for a highly demanding, buttery smooth transition. Inside that reveal element, whether you decide to use a background image or a high-definition video, we apply objectFit, cover to both tags. This makes sure our media scales dynamically to fill the entire container beautifully, mimicking a rich background cover effect without distortion.
Finally, we have the Mask SVG class. Since we are going to write inline SVG markup for our custom clip path, we don't want it accidentally taking up any physical layout space or throwing off our alignment. By setting its position to absolute with a width and height of 0, we completely hide it from view while keeping structural data perfectly accessible to our CSS. With our styles locked down, our visual foundation is set. Let's move on to drafting the actual SVG mask in the HTML structure. Now, let's jump right into the CSS styling. We want to make sure everything looks incredibly polished and that our layouts align perfectly without any unexpected browser gaps. We kick things off with a global reset using the universal selector. By stripping out all default margins and paddings and locking down the box size in the border box, we ensure our element dimensions stay completely predictable. Right below that, we style the body with a deep, cinematic dark background and a clean sans serif font. Notice that overflow X hidden? That's a crucial little safety net to prevent any awkward horizontal scrolling if our upcoming animations expand past the screen edge. Next, we create a spacer class. Giving a height of 50 VH simply pushes our main content down the page. This guarantees the user has plenty of room to scroll, allowing them to naturally watch the premium animation trigger as it enters the viewport. Now let's look at the core layout structure, the hero container and the reveal content. The hero container acts as our stage. It takes up the full width and height of the screen and uses overflow, hidden to keep everything perfectly self-contained. Inside it sits our reveal content. This is where the magic happens. We use the CSS clip path property to link this HTML layer directly to an SVG clip path called #RevealClip, which we will build in the next step. We also throw and will change clip path to signal the browser's graphics processor to optimize for a highly demanding, buttery smooth transition. Inside that reveal element, whether you decide to use a background image or a high-definition video, we apply ObjectFit, cover to both tags. This makes sure our media scales dynamically to fill the entire container beautifully, mimicking a rich background cover effect without distortion. Finally, we have the Mask SVG class. Since we are going to write inline SVG markup for our custom clip path, we don't want it accidentally taking up any physical layout space or throwing off our alignment. By setting its position to absolute with a width and height of 0, we completely hide it from view while keeping its structural data perfectly accessible to our CSS. With our styles locked down, our visual foundation is set. Let's move on to drafting the actual SVG mask in the HTML structure. Step 3. Building the HTML and responsive SVG vector. Now let's move into the body to build out our visible structure. We insert our initial instruction spacer text, and then we establish our primary hero container. Inside this container, we place our media showcase image from Unsplash. You can swap this IMG tag out for a muted, auto-playing video tag later if you want a true cinematic look. Right underneath our media div, we drop in our SVG layer. Pay close attention to this specific attribute. Clip path units equals objectBoundingBox. Normally, SVG coordinates map to absolute, hard-coded pixel values. By changing this to objectBoundingBox, we tell the browser to calculate coordinate points as relative decimal ratios from 0.0 to 1.0. This ensures that our vector shape stretches and conforms instantly to any device display width or height natively. Now that our styles are set, let's step inside the body tag and look at the actual markup structure. We start with a basic spacer div at the top, containing a quick call to action text. This simply gives the user a physical heads up to scroll down so they can witness the upcoming transition. Right below that, we establish our hero container, which acts as the main frame for our production. Inside it, we have our reveal content div wrapping a beautiful, high-resolution cinematic image from Unsplash. Remember, because of the CSS we just wrote, this image will automatically act as a full bleed background. Now, let's look at the absolute star of the show, the inline SVG element with the class Mask SVG. Inside the DFS tag, which is short for definitions, we define our custom clip path and give an ID of reveal clip. This ID matches the exact name we referenced earlier in our CSS clip path property. Pay close attention to this attribute right here. Clip path units equals objectBoundingBox. This is an incredibly powerful setting. By default, SVG paths use fixed pixel values, which wouldn't scale. By changing the units to objectBoundingBox, we are telling the browser to treat the entire path coordinates as percentages ranging from 0 to 1. Look at the path data or the D attribute on the next line. Instead of using massive pixel numbers, we use values like 0.3, 0.5, and 1. This means our vector shape automatically stretches and scales perfectly to match whatever dimensions our image container happens to be. GSAP is going to target this exact ID of mask path later on to smoothly morph these vector coordinates. Finally, we close out the hero section and add one last massive space at the very bottom, set to a full 100 VH. This ensures that even after the animation completes, the user can keep scrolling seamlessly without hitting a hard structural wall at the bottom of the page. Our HTML structure is officially locked in. Next up, we write the JavaScript that ties this all together and brings the animation to life. Step 4. Animating the path via GSAP ScrollTrigger. Finally, Let's open our script tag at the bottom of the body to write our animation sequence. First, we register our ScrollTrigger plugin into the GSAP core system. Next, let's address the ultimate path-morphing pro tip that saves you from needing a paid plugin. Your start path attribute and your end path attribute must possess the exact same quantity of structural command points. Look closely at our full screen path string. It features the exact same sequence of M and L coordinates as our initial SVG path. The only difference is that we altered the middle anchor point value from 0.3 down to 0. Because the structure matches line for line, vanilla GSAP can effortlessly compute the intermediate coordinate math natively. We hook this directly into a master timeline. We target the hero container as our trigger element. Set start. Top to capture the sequence when the section hits the top of the viewport, and configure pin. True, so the viewer's screen locks rigidly in place while the artwork expands. By setting scrub. 1. The entire transformation moves forwards or backwards in perfect sync with the speed of your mouse wheel. Now for the grand finale, the JavaScript that breathes life into our mask. This is where GSAP and ScrollTrigger work their magic. Right at the start, we run sap.register plugin ScrollTrigger. This is a vital step because it alerts SAP's core engine that we are plugging in extra scrolling capabilities, preventing any runtime errors. Next, we define a constant variable called full screen path. Look closely at this string. This is our target shape, a complete unmasked rectangle. Notice how it has the exact same number of points and commands as our starting HTML path. Instead of dipping down into the center, the middle coordinates are flattened out along the top. Keeping the point count identical is a pro tip. It allows GSAP to natively interpolate the values effortlessly, giving you a perfectly clean vector morph without needing any heavy external morphing plugins. Then, we instantiate our GSAP timeline and feed it a configuration object. We target our .hero container as the scroll trigger. The start, top setting tells the animation to kick off the exact millisecond the top of our hero. Container hits the top of the viewport. We set the end. Plus equals 150% to stretch the animation timeline across 1.5 full screen heights of scrolling. By setting scrub, 1, we link the progress of our animation directly to the user's scroll bar. If they scroll down, the mask opens. If they scroll back up, it reverses flawlessly. The pin, true property, is what gives this effect its premium feel. It temporarily freezes the web page in place, locking the user's viewport on our hero section, so the animation can play out fully before the page releases and continues scrolling down normally. With our stage locked in, we add our twin animation steps to the timeline. The first .to animation targets our hashtag mask path. We use SAP's object to target the path D attribute, smoothly animating it from its initial jagged state to our flat full screen path, using a smooth power 2 in outpacing. Simultaneously, we add a second .to animation targeting our background image, scaling it up to 1.15. Notice that number 0 resting at the very end of our script. That is the absolute position parameter. By passing a 0 here, we tell GSAP to run the image zoom at the exact same millisecond the vector mask begins to morph. This concurrent pairing creates a gorgeous, multidimensional parallax depth. And that is it. Save your file. Open it up in your browser and watch your premium SVG morph reveal scale beautifully as you scroll. Fantastic job finishing this project, and I will see you in the next lesson. And there you have it. A completely self-contained, highly performant, and responsive cinematic reveal layout engineered using advanced SVG clip paths and native GSAP scroll properties. You can copy and drop this exact code block directly into your custom React, Vue, Laravel, or WordPress Frontend themes to instantly elevate your user experience design. If you hit any execution errors or want to learn how to prepare custom vector paths using Adobe Illustrator or Figma, drop a comment down below. I read and personally respond to every single developer comment to help you keep tracking forward. The complete, unified code source is linked in the description field right below the video. If this tutorial brought value to your workflow, remember to hit that like button, subscribe to ITMaster, and tap that notification bell icon so you never miss out when we drop our premium Frontend creative suites. Keep practice coding, keep building clean designs, and I will see you right here in the next masterclass.